Okay, forget me. I just got to record this. Oh, no free promo. Oh, no free promo. Um, I just have to start recording right now. This is gonna be kind of weird. I'm not really ready yet, but I have to just make myself ready because I realized every single time I get like right to the end of finishing like a giant project, I just don't do it. Like I'll just get to like 99% and just not finish it. And I'm realizing that's just, I don't know what that feeling is. And I don't know if it's like a fear of my own success or like a fear of losing meaning after giving myself to create meaning and value in myself for so long. But I have to get ready to, it's almost like being a mother who's like so ingrained in the pregnancy process that like she's not willing to like actually have the kid. Cause she's like, no, I love being a pregnant mother so much. Like, I don't want to be an actual mother. And it's like, wait, what, like, what the fuck? Like the whole entire reason that you were pregnant was so you could have the kid, like, and then now you can take care of the kid. And that's maybe I need to make a vlog about this. I like that analogy. I like that analogy. Hold on. I'm actually going to take some time right here and write that down in my phone because I like that. Vlog. Procrastination is like, it's like a pregnant mother. Oh, no. Procrastination for a dreamer is like a pregnant mother who falls in love with being pregnant so much she doesn't want to release the child from her womb to actually be the mother or even the child from the home because her her identity and service to the world is so deeply rooted in her connection to said child. And that's how you got to look at your dreams almost. I might even include this honestly in just the lecture series, but that's how you got to look. That's how ideas come to me. But that's how you just got to look at your dreams. I'm starting to realize it's you aren't just saying, oh, I want to be that, and then just taking steps to be that. It's you are looking at yourself almost like, oh, we won't describe that now, but you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're being patient enough to wait for the voice to respond back to you. I'm not saying like some psychedelic stuff like, oh, go crazy and like the voice in the mirror is going to start talking like Bloody Mary. What I'm saying is you have to be able to sit with yourself long enough to be able to sit through those uncomfortable moments, those times where you want to run away or you want to distract yourself and to really sit with yourself enough to understand what are those what is that very very quiet, very almost silent voice that speaks directly to you apart from the rest of the world and all the noises going on, and what do you do to create enough space in your life to be able to hear that and not even just hear that but acknowledge what it's telling you and then put that out into the world, which takes a lot more than just listening but takes confidence and strength to really put yourself in a world of a whole bunch of people who are living in a society that we've just decided is like we're going to popularize and just like normalize escaping yourself and sedating yourself, and which obviously we need to because we have to perpetuate capitalism and that's just the most anti-human system of all time because it's just not only is it humans owning humans but beyond that it's humans enslaving other humans and not properly compensating them for fear of destruction of the system. So let's think about your dreams as if like you are in a relationship or you're in an intimate relationship with the universe, and the universe is the ocean of infinite possibilities, or say the womb of infinite possibilities. But I still want to make it seem like you're the one holding the dream in the womb or respecting as if it's in the womb. And the point is not to just place expectations and fulfill expectations, but it's to cultivate those ideas, cultivate the visions, cultivate more and more and more, and grow more deeply in tune with yourself and your ideas and who you are. And it all comes on the back end of having of developing a relationship with yourself. All right. But I don't even know if I got did I really get to the point that I was trying to say though? that I personally I feel like I've grown too deep in relationship the with these ideas. The reason why I feel like I am failing, okay, and I'm not failing in life or anything. I feel like I'm doing very well, but it failing in relation to the goals that I do have and I know I should be fulfilling is because I have developed or created such an identity after really not having a real one. I've developed such an identity being the person that like builds these projects. It's almost like I am in them and I don't want to sell them because it's like, no, like this is me. And like, I don't want to give myself to this world that I know is just so disrespectful and so unappreciative and so just like ungrateful. I don't want to give myself to that, even for compensation. But in this world, you have to get compensated. So if you see the thing behind me right here, you can check out Cosmic Nomads Rebel Souls shop and go check out some more merch. But not to make the whole entire thing a promo, but I was just what I'm realizing is that I was the mother who fell in love with the pregnancy process, but or not even just the pregnancy process, but raising the child in its infancy, that I never felt confident enough that this child could go out into the world and stand on its own 2 feet and not only develop itself, but grow into a successful, independent being that would naturally understand and like have a sense of gratitude and appreciation for what I had created for it or what I had given it. And then in return, compensate me, whether that's in wealth or its opportunity or a network or more resources. But I have to be the confident one saying, hey, I birthed this idea and turned it into a plan, which now can be turned into an infrastructure, which now can be invested in, which now can be put into the world and actualized. And it all started with an idea, but I never would have got the idea if I didn't silence my world enough to listen to that tiny, 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 tiny voice that only speaks to my ears. So I talk about meditation a lot, but we'll get more into the meditation and like the healing stuff as I develop the courses that I'm going to put out for you guys. And even better, I'm probably gonna the courses that I put out, I'm probably only going to make them like $50 or like $100 because I really want to show you guys like when it comes to anything in relation to like personal growth or mindfulness, mental health, it's you in relationship with yourself and then you having like a coach or an assistant, somebody like a mentor on the side to help you develop that relationship with yourself. So you are not codependent to the salvation of who is giving you the advice. You are just fortunate for the advice that you're given and developing a independent sense of consciousness that you can help others with from your own sense of like environment or positioning. All right, that's enough of the if you like those you well you're on YouTube right now if you're watching this, so you go check out the rest of my vlogs if you like how I yap about yapping. But now let's get into end game. Section 5. I'm so happy, bro. We really got to the end section here. We really got to the end section here. I'm not gonna lie, this was supposed to be a book. I'll give you a little now we're doing it all the like an award ceremony, basically. Uh this was supposed to be a book, and then I was supposed to make it a I don't know, and maybe it was gonna be like a docu series, like a video series. Then I realized, dude, I'm too poor and too unknown to do both of those things. So like, and I realized how people just can't read. And if they're going to destroy the Department of Education, most of you guys will not be able to read in the next like 5 to 10 years. And I need this to be like some evergreen type content. So I realized, so, so I realized, let me just make a video series and try to look as good as I can. So like if you're focusing on how I look or you're focusing on me, you can at least stay just long enough for to hear what I have to say. And if you can do that, bro, then we're gonna get to where we're trying to go. That's what we've been saying literally this whole entire series. Do what we got to do to get to where we're trying to go. All right. I'm happy because not because like I'm done with this finally, that's part of it, but because you guys can get this finally. compensation or not, appreciation or not, validation or not, you guys can receive this and you guys can finally appreciate, or not even that. I'm starting to realize that one of the main reasons why I even made this whole entire thing was because, and not just this thing, but I wanted to take steps in totally changing my life, was because I knew I wanted respect from not just my peers, but I wanted respect from people that I looked up to, respect from professionals, respect from people who are successful at what they do, respect from people who are cared about and valued in this world. And like I was never going to get that respect by acting like a degenerate or by disrespecting myself or disrespecting my peers or my community or participating in this stereotype that is so readily forced in my face to get me to like accept myself as it. Like I had to go so different, bro. And I was willing to do that, bro, because I don't know, something in me is just delusional and crazy. And I said, you know what? In this world that we live in, especially with everything changing as it is, if I'm going to be delusional, I might as well be rich, bro. So, and then not even just that, but I realized there's no way in hell that I go to jail, bro. I can't like I cannot I do not have the strength. I am not God's strongest soldier. I will not go to jail, bro. That is just like and like I haven't even had anybody in my family go to jail, but it's just like I see that situation and I'm just like so non-compliant to rules and authority. It's just like I don't know how you guys could do that. And there's no women there. Like that's another thing too, bro. I don't know how you guys like other dudes that much to be able to hang around them and be told what to do every second of your day and not get paid at all. Like you don't get money. There's no women in there. There's no friends you get to hang out with. People are telling you what to do the whole time, and you don't get to like chill or like do what you want to do on the side, like blow some tree. Like that's I live a life by some very simple rules and regulations, and being owned whatsoever is not in the it's not in the cards. Being owned outside of my best interest is not in the cards. All right. I think I'm just yapping here and we should probably just get right into the video. We should probably just get right into this. Okay, perfect. So this is the, if you want to call it the Nostradamus section, the me projecting into the future, this horrible world that you guys live in and how it's only going to get worse unless we choose to make it better. Because the world doesn't change unless you choose to change it. Okay. Your life doesn't change unless you choose to change it. And then not even just choose to change it, because that's only one time. You have to commit to choosing to change it because it's an every single day, not even every single day, but it's an every single decision battle. That's something a lot of people don't want to recognize. But as yo big, little, whatever stepbrother, then you're going to hear it from me. So appreciate that. Personally, as your president, president of the people, president of the poor, dark wizard, billionaire bastard, intellectual sex symbol, whatever you want to call me, this is what goes in my mind when I'm perceiving what real social welfare looks like. And even beyond that, let me just add, this is what social welfare looks like in a community that is not only, or in a country that's not only the wealthiest country in the world, but cuts off a percentage of the profits of that wealthy country to recompensate the bottom line or to invest in the bottom line. So we aren't constantly raising the standards and expectations of what it means to be an average person with while pushing down the people on the bottom of society, blaming them for their issues and why they aren't solving their own problems when there's obviously other people's responsibility to do so, or other people have leverage to do so. And you know exactly who I'm talking about when I say those other people. Now, again, a lot of people, especially them bootlickers, are going to sit here and say, well, you shouldn't tell a man who made all his money to do to what he can do with his money. Okay, all the Nepo babies, all the people who inherited their wealth, they don't get to say anything about what happens with their money. All the people who got their money through scamming and gambling legalized, they don't get any say with their money. Actually, you guys are gonna try to like reverse Luigi me if I start speaking at the billionaire class like I do. So I'm gonna just kick it right here. and just say what I believe social welfare is. And then I'm going to ask you at the end of this, if I don't forget, which I definitely will, do you think that we can cut down a little bit of that somewhere around $1 trillion we spend every single year, and however many multi-billions of dollars we lose to the audit of the US Pentagon? You think we could reallocate and circulate that money back into the communities to invest in this kind of stuff? And what kind of change would that make? What kind of change would that make in a world where billionaires are actively leveraging the federal government to manufacture modern slaves? Go back to Section 2 if you haven't seen that, as a means of using a populist class of people who cannot be autonomous or say for themselves, which I believe personally, which makes the most sense, is to not only invest in warfare and globalized warfare, but to invest in this artificial intelligence revolution. And we all want to sit here and think that everybody's just going to be working in an office cubicle with their high-tech VR set and their high-tech laptop, and everyone's just going to be typing away while AI serves everybody like the modern slaves. Wrong. There is a whole entire demographic of human society that is going to be placed beneath artificial intelligence, especially not just artificial intelligence, the agents and the robots, beneath the highly skilled workers that will probably most definitely immigrate from other countries, other more developed countries, to come here to assist the revolution moving forward. The new American dream is bringing immigrants from other developed countries, specifically chosen countries, probably because they have white skin, into America to aid the new American dream. The new American dream is literally the thing that they're telling you to fear. But the only reason why they're telling you to fear it is because it's black and brown people. And because you guys are so racist, you believe it. And not knowing that those black and brown people that are fighting for citizenship in this country, they're working all the jobs that you and these highly skilled workers from other countries will never work ever a day in your lives, because you guys feel like you're so high and mighty. So when we need that blue collar, when we need that real down gritty, like human labor, there's nobody to do it. So you have to force people to do it. This is why you manufacture slaves. You have to force a demographic of people who doesn't get to say anything in relation to their autonomy or their own best interest. You have to create a class, label them in a way that says, okay, we use those people, and they don't get to have a say. We just get to pimp them out amongst ownership. And because you guys won't humanize prisoners, you guys will never appreciate this. Because you guys don't humanize homeless people, you're not seeing this happening. You're not seeing it happen to your peers right now. And actually, one more thing I want to say about homelessness is that it connects back to the thing that I was saying. I don't know if it was in section 3 or 2 or section 3 or 4, forgive me. But when you disconnect human beings from the earth, I just want to paint this picture for you. Sometime before capitalism, a human being can go sleep underneath a tree and get shade beneath that tree, but also get fruit from that tree, but also be able to plant those seeds from that fruit in their own place of residency, if you want to call it that, or their own living space. All if they were able to cultivate the tree and the land around it and really be present for that nature. Now, whether you want to call it the transforming of all the plants from female to male, so they don't reproduce or they don't produce any kind of fruit whatsoever, and people can't just eat fruits off the streets, and we could take them all to Walmart and they can scam you there. Or it's paving every single bit of road or every single bit of ground that people are supposed to be having their feet in, digging in, and then making everybody wear rubber soles. And then on top of that, all the grass areas or all like the actual earth connected areas, they're all privatized or privately owned. So people get punished for trespassing. because people are supposed to exist on concrete and exist in petri dishes called cubicles, and people are supposed to exist in man-made incubators, not in the world. That's the real world. That's for wealthy people. That's for, forgive me, not wealthy people. They don't want to call you that. Successful people. Fucking ridiculous, bro. Well, this is what social welfare looks like. Community engagement and cultural development. Like, but there's no culture under capitalism. One, because there's no community, because it's all cults of identity, because everybody is so broken in their identity, fighting for validation of the master, fighting for validation of the peers, fighting for validation of the in-group, but nobody knows themselves enough and who they are and how to accommodate themselves enough to actually create an authentic culture that is self-sufficient. Because the second capitalism sees any kind of value being created in any kind of in-group, it sticks its claws all the way in itself for the sake of making sure that any bit of wealth that can be created is exploited for the masters. So, and then, I don't know, sold on this market called, actually, I'm not even gonna say that. But ask yourself, is the illusion of success that capitalism is selling you through survivor's bias or through, I don't know, representative politics, is it worth not being able to be friends with your neighbors? Is being able to go on the metaverse, is that going to be more fun than being able to actually love and care for the people who live in proximity in the real world to you? Is watching live streams all day, 24/7, is that going to be more fun than being able to go outside? Just let me know that. But remember, these are all rhetorical questions because I understand, like, you understand what the answer is. I don't assume you would say anything else. Unless you're like Mama's Basement. So next thing is public transit. And this is one thing, I don't know if I described it already in this series, but this is just the most like, it's the case of the billionaires who are in, or the tech bros who are in such an incubator of just cult psychosis. They forget that, like, hey, the real world is smarter than them. They are just of service to the world outside of them, but they forgot that because they got so rich scamming all of us to use their platforms. So now they think, oh my goodness, we can save the world. Why don't we self-driving cars for everybody? Like, these people think they're innovative in that. And we've been asking for public transit and to also destroy this monopoly that the car business or the car industry has on infrastructure, period, public infrastructure. But again, it's the second a poor person is talking, it's blah 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 blah. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You're poor. You're poor. You're poor. That's it. Or you're black, or you're a woman, or you're this, or you're that. Like, and then we do the self-driving car thing, and then we destroy another 10% of the bottom line, another 5% of the bottom line, destroy another 12% of the bottom line to get this. And then it fails anyway, and it's a failed project 5 years later, and then we destroy the bottom 25% for this failed project. And then who are we going to blame? Oh, we're going to blame all the people who are displaced, all the people who are homeless, all the people who are traumatized by this, not the people who incited it and forced us to all believe it. Because they look like Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not going to say that yet. That's going to get me canceled. Okay. I don't even know why universal healthcare is a question, but if you want to know why we're not getting it, it's because the pharmaceutical business or the pharmaceutical industry is a $500 billion a year industry. How in God's name, and that's only the pharmaceutical business, how in God's name are we making profits under a capitalist system that's already so deeply in debt, 35 trillion, mind you, and growing every day? How are we, the United States, going to make any profits off of healthy people? It's a rhetorical question. Actually, you want me to answer that for you? You don't. Okay, next one. Universal basic income. The only way we're even getting this in the society that we live in is when so many people are kicked out of jobs as a means of replacing them with AI that you just have to give people enough money to do very basic things. And because inflation is going to be so bad anyway, and will continue to be bad to the point where I feel like we're getting another Great Depression, like 100 years later, which is like an anniversary. But universal basic income will strictly be, it won't be to get you back on your feet. It'll be to keep you floating for the rest of your life. And basically to keep you floating until you actually drown. And only the people who somehow like are keen enough to leverage that and turn it into more opportunity or income or wealth, like, but you guys are sitting here thinking that the government, who already won't give people who are begging for benefits proper access to them and doesn't have the funds to even pay the social welfare workers, you think that just out of nowhere, when a bunch of people lose their jobs, they're gonna like actually give you guys welfare? You had to beg these people for $1,200, bro, during the pandemic. Nobody could go outside, and you had to beg these people for $1,200. These people are millionaires off insider trading, begging them for 1,200, and everybody didn't even get it. We had a nationwide, a global pandemic, and we had to beg for $1,200, bro. Sit here and think. And now those people, not only were you begging, but guess who made the six, seven, eight, nine figures in those PPP loans? Not only the scammers, your local scammers, but the big businesses with all these nonprofits and charity programs and whatnot. Tom Brady made a multi-million-dollar deal. But again, you guys don't care. You guys don't care. You guys don't care at all, bro. And real social welfare would look like not only mutual aid and community fundraising, but it's local investment. And it's more than small business. It's investing in your peers, investing in creatives that you know and you care about. It's investing in young people, period. But again, the poorest don't have enough money to invest in each other, and they're so lacking in wealth and resources and being able to accommodate their needs. They just blame each other for their problems, and we just continue to perpetuate these cycles of division and individualism as we continue to go. And nobody wins, because the only person who wins is the master up top. I don't even have to really get into this, because what I'm saying here, social welfare is like education, access to education is a human right. There's so many things I can tell you about the United States government just like straight nailing its own people for no reason. But access to education and proper skill development, self-awareness, that is a human right in a developed country at all. If you can organize yourselves and spread anything at mass, but you guys don't believe that, because that being a human right would almost make it an obligation to be educated. And then so many of you guys would have to realize, like, you guys stopped being educated after like fourth grade, or your brain started regressing after you graduated high school. And it's and the a little side note I'll get into here. One of the three things, three things that I've been able to see that make people so insecure, and you don't have to do anything. You just have to be it. And if they know you're it, then the resentment's already there. If you're more intelligent than somebody, if you're more handsome or beautiful than somebody, like you're more attractive than somebody, and if you're wealthier or more accomplished than somebody, it's almost like the initial interaction is okay. They can recognize they're beneath you in some kind of social hierarchy that's just completely neurotypical, and they're expecting to get their validation through you validating them. But if you don't want to validate them, or you don't feel kind of the need to do that in relation to the way they see fit, then it's just automatic resentment, bro. It's just, I can't be them, so like now I can hate them. Or they don't love me, so now I think it's right that I deserve to hate them. With the destruction of the Department of Education, though, um, this is going to force not only educators to turn almost into like their own content creators and go into this uh, educational collectives, but that's going to turn into more direct community-based learning opportunities, which I believe has the potential to happen, especially if the internet continues to be free. And people, especially teachers who've been fired and whatnot, don't ever give up on their skill to be able to really cultivate consciousness and the mind. It's going to take a lot of time for any of that to happen, though, because there's still so much like people. I don't think you guys realize just like losing a job, especially a job in a world where like things are so unsafe and so uneasy and uncertain. Losing a job is going to be even worse than losing a relationship for a lot of people in the next 5 to 10 years or 25 years. I'll expand that. I'll be generous with it. So you have to give people the space to like really sit and hit their rock bottom first and realize like, okay, how I was raised to believe life was supposed to be and what I thought my life was supposed to be like is actually not how life is whatsoever. And I have to address life as it is for the rest of my life, not knowing what it is and not really having any expectations for it because it's just going to force me to disappoint myself. Knowing that you have to give people an opportunity to break down from the identities that this society has allowed them to build, thinking that they're these like hyper intellects because they went to school for 800 years, bro, instead of like they were in the field for all that time. There's just this a broken down, really a decentralized form of education or system of education is going to open up the avenues for way more diverse kinds of education. So now I'm starting to realize, and just as I'm speaking to myself, maybe this is going to be an opportunity for education to transform collectively, as long as we aren't sitting here begging for this system that was kind of okay, but like still didn't work. We're not begging for that back because it really wasn't serving as many people as it was supposed to. And then a handful of other things here, which you can almost kind of collectively put this together, but community opportunities, opportunities for the people in the community and for the communities to engage and appreciate all that is like the culture that is created within it. That is super, 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 super important. But again, there's a monopoly on religion. So, of course, you're going to be humiliated for not. You don't think Jesus loves you? You don't think Jesus loves you? So, and they don't want to say that they're sitting here like, basically like, forcing everybody to join their religion. Or a lot of people act like they don't. But you ever sit here and think, why is it so hard for you to take a no? Like, why is it always what's up with somebody needs to teach modern day Christians, at least Western Christians, what the word coercion is and understand how uncomfortable that makes human beings. And maybe that would do a good job in fixing society and other issues that are related to that topic. But fundamentally, like I can speak all day about all these cool ideas I have for like what social welfare is and taking care of like our community and like the people everywhere. It doesn't matter if the government's bought out. It doesn't matter if we're we're done. Like it doesn't matter if poor people are actually the opposition. Like it's not even like a specific demographic of poor people. It is poor people. And like if you're poor, and I'm telling you, like I'm not saying like you're scraping together. Poor is less than like $250,000 a year. That is poor in America right now. And nobody is going to tell you that. But when you have to sit here and think about it like this, if Mark Zuckerberg is like not even 35 and he's a billionaire, 100 billionaire, not even 100, he's like a 10 billionaire or something, and he's not going to invest in or share that money with other people, he's going to be a billionaire for another 30, 40, 50 years. Mark Zuckerberg is going to be a trillionaire before we see any of this. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there's only like 3 countries that are actually that actively lived on in 100 years. because we've just destroyed so much of this world attempting to manifest AI as like this world salvation after destroying so much of it through like the oil cartels already. But it doesn't matter. Any of this doesn't matter. And I'm not saying that. And again, this is going to get me probably canceled again, but I've been canceled probably 6 times already. Um, your votes don't matter. Your participation doesn't matter. Like your engagement in a system that the government is bought, like the government that's supposed to have the like a multi-party system to fight against each other and actually like build some kind of chosen democratic consciousness. Like it's done. Like when they're owned, like both parties are dependent on the same master, like for advertising money. Like, are you kidding me? So forget it. This is the people need to decide. The people need to choose, the people need to commit, and the people need to come together. That's the only way this type of shit happens, bro. Because it's us this shit impacts. All right, let's move to the next one. What I believe. What do I believe the future is of this like new age masculine that I keep on speaking about? Well, if I can be honest with you, it's hold on. Let me just read through this to make sure I'm getting the right point out. But these are like the main two options that people will take because, and this I don't even have to explain this because you guys can read. The reason why more people are going to take these options than this is because this requires you to go through pure isolation. And forgive me, excuse me. One of the main things that patriarchy addresses so well is treating not only the fear of confusion in identity and lack of like identity that men have, but it addresses the fear of loneliness and complete or total isolation in a world where everybody exists in the joy and the love that is community of care and complement. Patriarchy addresses that by saying, hey, you don't need a community. You can just own a woman who will create a community for you through her womb. Hey, you don't need to be able to make sure that you can meet the needs of yourself and your family and your community. You can just get a job from this person who owns this company who doesn't pay its employees well enough. And then now every single one of you are having a labor strike on Christmas Day because nobody's paying you enough. But your boss is a billionaire, freaking Scrooge, and you work all the hours to make him a billionaire. It's just what I'm trying to say with all this is patriarchy. It's such a cult mentality, and this is why I call it a psychosis or patriarchal psychosis, is because it's the mentality is, oh, my friends are jumping off the cliff, so I'm going to do it too. And this is what's going to happen. And mind you, it's not going to be like 50-50 or like 20-20 and then or 2/3 and then a third. It's going to be more people than not submitting back to patriarchal culture. And again, we can see it as a consequence of the past election. More people than ever, especially people who would never even win and benefit from patriarchy, exclusively going back to patriarchal ideas and supporting that side because they feel like that's the only way they can be heard or felt in punishing their opposition without actively going to jail for like directly abusing the people they hate. Whether it's women, whether it's queer people, whether it's children. These men who feel so beat down and abandoned by this system that was entitling them so much, they feel like the only way they can get access to that one and the only way they can get revenge on everything that's done them wrong is by federally punishing all the people who they naturally have to exploit for the sake of creating the illusion or the delusion that is believable enough to get people to buy into patriarchal psychosis and sacrifice their entire communities to the ownership of the wealthy man or the master man that owns the system. It's men getting over on men, allowing taking that opportunity to get over on every single person that stands behind them. And again, this isn't me saying that like men have to lead all the time, but I'm saying when we allow two guys, the same identity, man, to break apart from community and to create their own cult psychosis that does not serve the community, but only serves themselves, they start to abandon what it is, the appreciation of diversity of community, and how the only way you can get culture to develop, community to grow, and actual like means of contributing to the consciousness is by making people collaborate, allowing people to humble themselves enough to collaborate in a community and to serve the needs of the community, whether it's meeting the goals of the community or meeting the needs of the people beyond serving the ego of the person who owns the community. The reason why I had to include this up at the top here, though, the total self-rejection or suicide, is because these are going to be the people who feel like patriarchy has rejected them so much and there's just no hope for them on the other side. There's no hope if they chose to be a good person. There's no, because they probably, I tried to be a nice guy and that girl rejected me. I'm not laughing at you because you're probably like in a bad state if you're hearing this from that perspective, but understand, heal, and you're going to understand, you're going to laugh at yourself too. But, but guys who don't believe, who don't see hope. And hope is very interesting. Hope is one of the main energies, if not the only energy, that connects our present being to believing in the future that does not exist. Hope is literally like, it's like the future is fishing you. Or forgive me, hope is like you fishing into the future and then you actually believe that you clung on to something. And now you're reeling, waiting to see what it is. That's hope. And in such a predatory society, especially such a psychologically predatory society, that's what we exploit. Hopeful, naive, vulnerable people. And then we disappoint those people by not fulfilling the hope that we gave them, or the hope that we allowed them to develop that we ended up exploiting, because their belief in us or in our mission allowed us to do something with their energy that did not compensate them. It only compensated the person who was on the receiving end of that belief. So a lot of these guys who feel unfulfilled by this system and the systems at hand, and that don't understand, hey, maybe men aren't supposed to be doing everything on their own. Maybe we're supposed to be a part of a community, but that takes us being humble. That takes us being respectful. That takes us listening and caring and taking a backseat because we've been driving the car for the past however many centuries. Maybe it's not more work. Maybe it's less because we're able to include others and helping us do more together. Guys who can't see that, and those are the guys who will learn that and see that as they pursue deep healing and growth beyond what patriarchy has limited them to be. But the guys who can't see that, or who feel so overwhelmed in pursuing that journey or that process, are going to let themselves go. Whether it's decaying themselves until they naturally die, like to natural causes, not taking care of their body, not cultivating their mind, not caring for their community, not being present for the people in their lives, and just literally decaying to death. Or if they just do it themselves because it's just so overwhelming, they don't know how to control it. And this is something that we have to address, because if you don't want to address it here, you're going to have to address it when, why did 25% of kids or of people 18 to 35 delete themselves in the past 10 years? And then now you have somebody like me on whatever the freaking mainstream media is saying, I told you so. And I never wanted to say I told you so because I was trying to tell you before it was so. But again, you guys don't listen until it already is. You guys don't want to believe it until you already see it. And when you see it, it's already too late. That's what I'm trying to tell you. One thing that might have people questioning me a little bit, which I want to address before we do get into it, because I know these other things really like make sense. When I say saving the family, it's not from families don't exist properly without men leading them. It's, hey, let's protect the sanctity of what we know the family is. Because for so many of us, we know the potential that a family has to positively impact the lives of children and of the communities. Even of children that are not born of the bloodline to the family. Many of us have people that we consider family members that aren't even blood related to us, or that we aren't even connected to by anything other than by random life experience. When when I'm asking, when I'm saying in this transformed masculine, it's not even a new form. It's really just reverting back to the selves that we were, and the diverse complexity that we had before we allowed patriarchy to let us buy into their convenience. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing: curiosity is not what killed the cat. Convenience killed the cat. Actually, I'm gonna write that down. You guys might see that on TikTok real soon. I'm sorry. These ideas come out like it's almost like I'm supposed to yap all day, and then the idea that I need will come out, and then I'll clip it. But again, the point is not to say that the family is going to be distraught or not saved if the male or the patriarch isn't there. It's saying our role is just as essential as everybody's in the family to participate in being present and being there, especially if it's families that we've created from our own seed. It's our obligation to be there, to protect the sanctity, to protect the value, protect the meaning and the significance of what the family is, and making sure that we can carry that love, that energy that's served to us as we serve the community, as we serve the world, as we serve our purpose in the world. And again, a lot of people are going to sit here and say, purpose is an illusion. Like, purpose is just another term. Just like, shut up, bro. If you wake up and you decide, I am going to be the best garbage can driver or the best garbage man on planet Earth today, and you commit to the process that is making sure you can hit all your stops, making sure that you get to the cleanest routes, making sure you do this, making sure you do this, that's purpose. There's intention, there's commitment, there's trust, there's belief, there's growth. That is purpose. You are developing, you intend to do, and you become through. So let's sit here and and I'm going to make a course on this specifically for this, and I'm going to make you guys pay for it because I hope all those new age spiritualists can start giving me money for all the lies they've been fed. But spirituality has been so sensationalized in America, especially through new age spirituality in America, because you guys don't want to accept, or like you guys want a means to like justify selling things that don't carry any like genuine value, or at least genuine significance to you, and you need some other reason to like kind of to triangulate value to it, to sell products or to sell ideas or to sell services. But it's like most of spirituality, like the most impactful spirituality you'll ever engage in, like the most magical spirituality you'll ever engage with, it's basic stuff that you can do for free. It's meditating. It's developing the relationship with yourself through journaling and through actually facing your fears and facing your trauma. It's about eating healthy when you can. It's about taking time to respond properly instead of reacting off your emotions. It's about taking time to understand who you are in spite of who the world wants you to be, and being able to have a healthy balance between the two of those, because you'll never be able to be apart from either of them. And this is free stuff, but they can't sell you that. But I can sell you a dream. I can sell you a love potion. I can sell you a relationship course. You see what I'm saying here? I can sell you everything that you want and then just blame you for it not working because you don't believe hard enough, without ever blaming myself or without ever forcing you to see me as somebody who's selling you dreams and is probably a narcissist. So I can't wait to get into that section when we get into it. And the inevitable conclusion we get to from that is the masculine energy is dying of thirst. And in that, it's in its current reaction to its thirst, it is seeking, almost like a vampire in the light. It is seeking to cling on to something that will allow it to protect its well-being. But we don't understand it's the parasite in us. It's the patriarchal psychosis that is hanging on to us, that is clinging for dear life. And what the current reality is doing for us is it is frying through us everything that isn't going to make it into this new future, that is calling for a new expression of a more diverse, a more complex, a more complementary expression of masculinity. The new world is the sun shining right through us, trying to fry that parasite from us and purge it from us. But because that process is so difficult, since that parasite has dug itself so deep into our psyche, making us think that we need to gain our sense of self-acceptance through it, rather than it gaining its sense of livelihood off of us, the host, we are willing to destroy the whole body, the host body, and everything that we are for the sake of prioritizing the life of the parasite that will just leave off of us and cling on to a new vulnerable being at the end of the day, not even give back to us as much as we are giving to it. So we will tear down women, we will tear down queer people, we will tear down children, we will tear down Black people, even if it's men, we'll tear down Black men and Black people, because we just have to do anything to tear somebody else down to get life out of them, instead of taking the parasite out of our own psyche and being able to derive true life from us. We don't have access to self-awareness in a world that thrives on ignorance. We don't have any sense of love or care when we don't have tribal connection. We don't have community. We don't have any sense of direction or intention when we don't have our purpose and awareness of it. And the reason why capitalism favors wealth hoarding instead of cultural contribution is because you'll realize that there's no point to have people that are able to hoard so much wealth, when the whole entire point of even creating wealth is to be able to allocate it to the people who need it and the people who have the least ability to access it efficiently. And then you start to recognize the only purpose of the powerful people is to serve the other people who are the powerless, not serve their own selfish desires because the system says it's okay for them to do so. But so we don't get too stuck on that, because you guys know how much I love, how passionate I am about this. This is one of the main questions, or three of the questions. If you're somebody who's been participating in this series, because I think I'm going to drop the whole entire thing in one day. If you're somebody who's been participating in this series, I just want to ask you to stick with me for a second. Journal these if you can, or make a video on these and just like keep them for yourselves or post them. I don't know, whatever you got to do. I know, horrible grammar. Where will harbor the growth of this? And really I wanted to say who, but like who in relation to where, like what communities, what identities, what cultures have the strength to harbor the growth of this new masculinity. Because going back to section 3, the end part of section 3, or really the midsection of section 3, masculinity is definitely a very abrasive and powerful energy. But it cannot be tamed for the sake of controlling it. It needs to be tamed through discipline, through responsibility, through intention and purpose. And in giving opportunity and a means to direct that radical, chaotic energy in systems and infrastructures that can positively impact the life of the being and the community that that being is responsible for or is at the responsibility of, you are allowing the fullness of what masculinity has the potential to be, while always being able to trim at the hedges exactly what we want to reinforce that we don't want our youth to be, and what we do want our youth to be, and what kind of standards we have. But instead of creating a world where we set the box first and then we put the infinite energy into the box, we have to set the infinite energy first and attempt to understand the infinite energy as best as we can, as much as we can. And that is a constant process of learning and growth and contribution and collective engagement and involvement. And in doing that, in contributing in those spaces of consciousness and contributing in those spaces of collective engagement, we get to hold ourselves accountable. We get to be a part of something And we get to make sure that we're holding each other accountable to help them make sure they're meeting the goals that they need to meet, and they're helping meet their needs that go beyond that of the community. But I think it's going to be very important for us to, and if we start with that buck broken or like that claustrophobic masculine, if that's what we're starting with, and then we try to force all men to like go through there, the inevitable like implosion due to the rage or like just feeling like lack of genuine authenticity is going to end up happening and self-destructing everything. And I think that's what's starting to happen right now in our society. Another question is, who is strong enough to choose the path without self-destructing? Again, that's something I can't answer, because I've definitely had those times that I wanted to, like days, weeks, months in a row. And the only thing that keeps me going is really it's like, I believe that the belief that I have in not only who I am, but the future that I have to create is just so strong that it's just a knowing now. And in spite of everything that I have to endure or that where I've came from, I realize that as long as I have an opportunity to keep taking steps towards that future, I might as well keep going, because the second I get there, or everything that I'm learning and developing along the way is so beneficial into helping me appreciate getting there whenever that happens. And being able to hit those milestones, those theirs, quote unquote, will remind me why I made the decisions I did, will remind me why I put so much work in, will remind me why life was so difficult in the beginning, but so I could be aware of how easy and how amazing I wanted it to be as a consequence of the decisions that I made. But again, and patriarchy is, again, the one thing that we don't want to address is that it allows that back end group of guys who feel like failures to just exist in the community as like, well, see, you're not successful, but like, here, you can have a wife and like you can have a job. Like, but you're at the mercy completely of serving all that, and like you don't have an identity. So this is really going to be the new age of people who are just, and it's not just like narcissistic self-belief, but it's like that mad ambitious type energy. That's going to be the new wave going forward. And then one thing is, are the masses even ready for something like this? Kind of going back to the intro video, they weren't ready for a Black woman president. So something like this, a non-traditional masculine expression that helps not only men, but boys be the fullness of who they are, but allow that to still healthily serve and contribute the world that they exist in. I think that people are too ignorant and too just like desensitized to their own emotions and their own desires to be able to want that. That's and I hate to fearmonger with that, but I genuinely believe. I think the people we as a people are too individualized, and social media does an amazing job through individualizing the For You pages, and everybody is just a slave to the targeted ads and the related posts that they would want to watch. I don't know if we're ready. We're so individualized due to that, the personal echo. Go back to the personal echo chamber chart that I made, but we're so individualized that we went from community to individual to hyper individual, and now we think that we've created community on the back end of hyper individualism, and all we did was create cults of identity, of the identities that everybody is seeking validation for presenting themselves as, that they don't really know themselves to be. So like there's just so much explosion that has to happen collectively to force us to be like, hey, we can't even go back to thinking the old way was something that could work. We have to just really get into just something completely new and just fully believe that we know how to do it on some like founding father type BS. Like we're 20-year-olds just going crazy, or even forget founding fathers because they don't look like me. Some Black Panther type BS. Like, hey, we don't even know what the future holds. And this is probably going to be a suicide mission, but we got to do it anyway because our people need this. And look how much what the Black Panthers did positively impacted social welfare and the working class people of America. more so than any presidency ever has since that point. Now, these are some conversations that I would like to have, and I'm not going to get too deep into them because you guys can end up, if you guys are watching this right now, you guys can just jump in the comments and add your perspectives on these or make your own videos or tag other creators, whatever you want to do. But these are going to be some conversations that we have to have if we want to truly be of any kind of value to this social culture that we are going to be forced into in the near future, if not already engaging in. The future of young men development. That's going to be, I genuinely believe that's going to be at the backs of communities. Influencers, especially individual male influencers. I don't know what point of the journey you guys get just like cooked in the head in, but it's either the trauma that you go through being rejected by your peers and rejected by the women that you want that turns you into like a cult leader, or it's getting so drunk on the power and the validation that you do get for being famous that you forget the whole point of you doing this is to serve the young people in your community and hope that they not only become like you, but they become better than you. But you don't want that. And this is something I want a lot of young boys to see when they're looking at their like influencers on or their life coaches and dating coaches and all that BS that people be putting on TikTok and YouTube. Like, do they want you to become better than them? Like, are they giving you the keys to the game so you don't make the same mistakes they did and you become better than them? Or are they giving you advice so you can stick on to being their fan forever and you can constantly be a source or a stream of revenue for them as they continue to peddle their charlatan BS to whoever else is ignorant enough to keep buying it? And it's fundamentally just ask one, do you care about yourself enough to see if they care about you? That's a rhetorical question, or one that you can answer on your own time. The next one is privatized or private or centralized women's communities to focus on wellness and development, autonomy. Yeah, this is very, 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 very important to me, specifically, especially for Black women. This is very, very important to me. And these are conversations that, like, I'm not even supposed to be somebody who's leading these conversations because, again, I'm not a Black woman, but I am a Black man who engages in Black community and Black conversation. So by proxy, I'm able to present this conversation to the stage. I want this, and this also doubles down on this too. I think that there needs to be, and this is a kind of just a side project, there needs to be like queer bars that are owned by and led by queer people. And it could be just like only only including them. But one thing I want to start accepting or start acknowledging is that there needs to be more, how do I say it? More opportunities for exclusive communities. Like this is the problem with like racism. You guys have, okay, only white people can do this, like whites only. And then you try to make everybody feel like we are less than because we can't get into like the whites only section. But what if we don't even want to be in the whites only section? Like, what if we want to be in the this type of people section? What if we want to be in the this type of people section? What if we want to only engage with people that are like identity to us, whether it's Blackness, whether it's women, whether it's queer? What if we only want to be in relation to people who identify? And then you start to see how many other types of human beings exist. And the fear is, the goal is to make this fear of missing out to the whites only culture. So we are so focused on wishing we were in the in-group that is whites only. We don't focus on creating our own in-groups and developing our own independent sense of culture and consciousness, which create the opportunity to become active competition to that whites only community. But we will never create any kind of community that becomes competition to, whether it's the whites only, whether it's the males only. We will never create any kind of genuine competition to that if we are seeking to reflect the success or the building of their community, or we're seeking the validation and acceptance within their community. And me knowing that as a Black person, seeing how rampant white supremacy is in our culture, that's me saying, okay, now I know inherently I'm not supposed to be able to see this, but I can perceive that not only do women want this opportunity for themselves, but queer people definitely want this opportunity for themselves as well. And if I as a man can see that, okay, for Black people or for just like this type of man, we need our own community. Let me back end and see all these other types of people that need their own independent culture and consciousness as well. This is why I'm also going to present you guys with an app or like this new community building platform that I'm making. And again, I just dropped a 15-hour lecture for you guys. You guys should not be questioning any of the dreams that I have anymore, ever. When I tell you I'm going to do something, unless it's going to fail, like I'm going to do it. Like, no. Even if it's going to, like, I'm telling you right now, like the things that I say, you should just like act like I'm telling you like, oh, I just hit a home run at a baseball game. Like that's it. But we won't get too much into that because I'm not wasting time, but I'm spending a hell of a lot of time yapping and not kind of going into just describing what these are. The next couple things are, what are we going to do with the current incels? Because I'm going to tell you right now, the powers that be are going to send these incels to the army. You guys that are just used to playing Call of Duty, thinking that you can M16 or whatever the hell, all your little friends and your little live streams. Yeah, you guys are going to get sent to real war. And that is going to make you guys like, you're going to be pooping out of your nose. Your butthole's going to be so tight. But you guys don't even understand that. Next thing is going to be creating purpose. And again, the fundamental way you create purpose is giving jobs. But you got to give jobs that not only people can believe in, but you got to give jobs that pay people enough to live. Give people give people a reason to wake up every single day and keep going to them. But again, because the billionaire oligarchy owns the federal government, there's no way in hell. They might even eliminate the federal minimum wage, if I'm being honest with you. If I'm being dead honest with you. But whose fault is that? It's not ours. It's nobody's fault. And there's so many more ways you can provide purpose that are more than just jobs, because that's just like strictly reinforcing capitalism. But being able to create that initial sense of, hey, you got to wake up every day and have some intention and commit yourself to doing something that reciprocates value to sustain your life. If you can create opportunities to do that, especially ones that exist, especially ones that exist beyond just having a job. So people don't think their whole entire salvation comes out of having a job, but they know their salvation comes out of being human and being able to contribute that human to a community. You're going to, mental health, and especially in the men's community, is going to drastically change. And also it's going to stop from people thinking, oh, well, I'm working a loser job, or like I'm not making 6 figures a year and driving a Bugatti, so my girl's going to break up with me. No. We're transitioning to a world where being purposeful and having like responsibilities is going to be the next flex, if that's what you even care about. Being able to promote your like scammer behavior on the internet to like manipulate girls into dating you, or promote your nepotism trust fund as if it's like a means of you making a successful business, none of that's going to matter anymore. That real grit, hard human labor work is going to matter, bro. I'm telling you it is. Believe in me when I tell you that, bro. I'm not acting like I can't see the future. And then we have to address this. Nobody wants to talk about it because it's just the most taboo thing ever. And another way we'll go about not talking about it is doing the whole Christian nationalism thing, where we just make it completely taboo and we never have these conversations. And then we never address things that are not just in relation to healing and education, but we're addressing sexual violence and abuse. We're addressing sexual ignorance. We're addressing sexual engagement and healthcare and hygiene products. Like, you guys don't understand. It's more than just people want to have sex or people want to talk about having sex all the time. It's about understanding that experience is an opportunity, one of the deepest, most intimate experiences, to become aware of the self. And not only become aware of the self, but to develop a genuine sense of self-acceptance, because you can't hide yourself from who you are, especially on the inside. And when we're looking at sex and sexuality as more than just a physical activity of hunching, and when we look at it as an opportunity to understand the unique energies of people and the self and how those can intertwine to create more than just babies, but to create bonds, to create relationships, to create and manifest dreams and ideas. Then we start leveraging that part of our society that we used to think was a crutch. We start leveraging that to create a more conscious, more self-aware, less shameful society of people who accept themselves and can create a culture on the back end of accepting themselves for who they are, rather than creating a culture, really just indoctrination system for who they are supposed to be while abandoning themselves for who they really are. But you guys are so like hyper like sexualized and like animal sexualized and not conscious sexualized. So you're not ready to have those conversations because the only time you want to talk about sex is when you're having it. Now we'll get into the what's going to happen with the marginalized people. What's going to happen with all the marginalized people who aren't of proxy to submitting to patriarchy for like the final hoorah, the final train to pleasure patriarchy, the final train to patriarchy's pleasure islands. But what do I believe is going to happen in the women's community? And again, this is just forecasting. And again, I can't speak for all women. I can only speak for what I believe like could happen potentially for Black women, because that's the only being I feel like I'm like directly energetically connected to. But through my appreciation and respect for that relationship and the humanity of their womanhood, I'm also able to humanize and love and appreciate the womanhood of all other women beyond that. But naturally and energetically, I personally believe, and I think we all are, just like on a bloodline level, we are all connected to the woman that is the womb that we came from, or the women that are aligned with the womb that we came from. And because of that, I tap into my ether and I'm connected to their ether. And their ether, or our ether collectively, is telling me that there is going to be either a mass migration outside of the US or a mass migration underground of just like very niche women's communities or just underground women's networks that break apart from completely servicing the trad wife Handmaid's Tale society that we're inevitably walking ourselves into in the United States. Because like I want to sit here and tell you guys this, when we are banning abortion laws for the sake of manufacturing new generations of slaves, and these people are like basically telling you that but not telling you that, not everybody's going to have that picture perfect marriage. A lot of people are going to be having kids in shacks. Like a lot of people are just going to be having like 8 kids, like that people, them people on TikTok, the 8 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment. That's going to be the lower class of society. And for women who have seen or even just scraped the surface of being able to actualize beyond service of the patriarchy, I'm telling you, that is going to be the first step in just running into the direction of being able to create everything beyond that. And that is something that I am in full support of. I hope you don't take anything that I'm saying as anything against that, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take those brave women that are strong enough to go into the abyss, into the darkness, to become everything that is beyond patriarchal acceptance, because there is no light shown to that. Then there, in America, I don't believe that 4B movement's working. I believe that American social activists, especially with like white women feminism in America, it likes to sensationalize a lot of social justice to the point where the master just wants to beat the shit out of the slaves instead of like actually making that social justice like happen. So I believe it's a good idea, but one thing that movement is inciting is, again, back to the mass migration that I believe is going to happen. And the sake of this is being able to create the independent feminine consciousness that isn't like white women feminism. Like, okay, we're just gonna like, men hate women, so we're gonna punch men, and we're gonna just like assume that they're just gonna like respect us after we punch them back in the mouth, and they're not gonna like delete us after that. It's gonna be, hey, instead of punching back and forth with men, what if we look within to ourselves and see the fullness of who we are, and then not only see that, but see, well, who else, especially of men, of other people, who else is also looking within themselves to see the fullness of who they are and walking in this world with intention, with purpose, in alignment with the people and the community that they want to live around? How can I tap in my own gifts and the divinity of who I am enough to be able to align with that in my outer reality? So I stop aligning with these idiots, bro, especially these people that hate women, bro. And then allowing that to reinforce these negative, traumatized beliefs that I have in my head, rather than giving me an opportunity to see something and to believe in something more than social media or my immediate community and circumstances are allowing me to see that men are. And even worse, social media and my FYP is convincing me that men are like these animal, horrible human beings that like are barely human whatsoever. And what you guys don't understand again is the creators who are making this content are making money off of you guys believing this and sharing this stuff, even if it has the potential to destroy the opportunity to create communities, because they want the clicks, the views, the likes, the shares, and the quick validation at the mercy of our ability to be anything beyond social media, which scares the fuck out of me. Oh yeah. I've told you this the whole entire series. Stop doing the kumbaya shit with the white people, bro. And I'm not saying that we can't be like, we have to be segregated or something, but why are these people only enter our community, only enter and involve themselves in our issues as a means of leading them and like owning us again, bro? Like so I don't know what it is, but there's just something innately in this group that thinks that nothing that like anything that we do, even if they steal everything that we do, they can do it better. And even if they can't do it better, they deserve to own it or to lead it, because we just don't know how to do it because we're savages or something. And again, it's the subliminal social culture of neurotypicals that allows these words to not be said, but to a genuine like autistic person or to a genuine neurodivergent person who isn't playing with that masking bullshit, we can see right through it all day, all day. So, what's happening in America over the next 25 years is a means of getting marginalized people to not own anything. I'm telling you right now. And then destroy the Department of Education. Marginalized people will not have the skills and the opportunity to own anything or to even build and collectively organize. Destroy DEI. Now we don't have to hire any of these people into any of our like higher executive roles anymore. And we can keep them white and male, just like we used to have them. It's America's creating a renter society because think about this. It's not a renter society for everybody. You're renting from somebody who owns what you're renting. The more renters, that only means the more centralized the ownership class is. That should be a problem. People rent from owners. We are literally living in a sharecropper society. You guys might not want to see it because we don't live on company towns yet, but company towns is sharecropping. Just wait till they stop letting people work from home for these major corporations and they bring you back into the office. You guys are going to see it for sure. But the whole point is to stop marginalized people from owning anything, whether it's owning businesses, owning their own communities, owning their own access to self, because the great wealth transfer, the great boomer American wealth transfer of the multi-trillion dollars coming over the next 25 years is going to be so important that the only people who have access to ownership and receiving or inheriting that through legal transactions are going to be the white boys of America. And when we get any kind of, that's why they won't give us reparations either, because we get any kind of money, then we're going to take it and invest in our own communities. Because why would we keep begging for the validation of people who we know inherently hate us? And even if they do accept us, it's only to exploit us. There we go. The new American dream is to escape America. And I hate that I even said that, but it's facts. You know it, I know it, we know it, everybody knows it. The new American dream is to escape America. There's a very I don't know if his name's like Juan Trillionaire, like Pablo Juan, San Juan, something like that. But there's this creator on TikTok that was making a video. I don't know if it was like a live stream or something, but randomly came across this video. And he said, the reason why we're so adamant about pulling up a border or making a border wall, it's got nothing to do with blocking out Mexicans. Because obviously nobody cares about Canadian immigrants, but it's got nothing to do with blocking out Mexicans. We are creating a border as a direct means to make sure nobody inside America can leave. And then we're going to continue to increase prices and the cost of living so much so that people are drowning in quicksand of their own debt traps that they agreed to pay off at times where they didn't know the economy was going to be this bad. Whether it's education, whether it's healthcare, whether it's housing, some kind of or it's credit card, some kind of debt trap is going to be used to get you to not even be at ground zero. The point is to not get out of here. Because when it gets, I'm telling you, once they close the door to like leaving the United States, bro, it's only a matter of time before some of you realize that you are the slaves that this new economy that I speak about is creating. And it's not creating them in a lab, bro. The only things that being created in a lab are these AI models. You are being positioned to be in a spot to where the only salvation you get is submitting yourself to slavery. And slavery isn't just whips and chains all the time. It is complete rejection of autonomy to sustain your livelihood. And when you look at it that way, you're going to realize a lot of you do not have any autonomy because you are a slave to the system that you live under. Because if you quit the system you lived under, you'd be dead because you wouldn't be able to serve yourself. You wouldn't be able to provide anymore. You wouldn't be able to pay those bills. And then even beyond that, take it a step further, you realize that you only get paid to basically be the middleman between your boss and the bill collector. and you might get crumbs between that. Oh, perfect. Read that, screenshot that, take a picture of that. And again, there is crime, but there's crime everywhere. And mind you, the crime that they're describing that is coming from Mexico to America, there is more drugs that come legally from Mexico to America, legally, through Americans, through American citizens, than come through illegal immigrants. It's fear-mongering, and I'm begging you to not be afraid of other human beings. I'm begging you to be angry at the least at billionaires who have the means and have the audacity to point the finger at other poor people as to why poor people are poor when they just got richer. They got richer after the pandemic. They got richer after 2008. They got richer after 2012. They keep getting more rich, and life keeps getting worse for the rest of us. It's almost like it's directly correlated. Maybe not, though. Maybe more centralized wealth means that there's more American opportunity and more American dream. Maybe I'm just a lazy... I'll make a course on this. I already have. I'm going to delete it, though, because it's free and I need money. So I'm going to charge you guys for the newly developed one that I make. But this is the future. The only way out of this master slave society is self-salvation, and not self-salvation like, oh, every individual person is like going to be self-sufficient, but you have to be willing to gain that the completion of self needs to be coming from the self. And then you put a complete self into the world as a means of participating in the grand play that is reality. We're moving into a world where people don't reject themselves and then run out into the world and beg for acceptance. We're moving into a world where people look within and learn themselves. They acknowledge who they are. They become aware of themselves and they accept that. And through that acceptance, they turn back into the world and they actualize that. And they find how they can serve communities with that. They find how they can serve culture with that. They find how they can give selflessly to the world apart from them, because they know that those gifts they're cultivating within them, only they can access them, but it's also their responsibility to share them as well. We're going to move away from these cults of I'm hoping we do, but we're going to move away from these cults of identity and push further in towards the dependence on community, especially as people have like we move into like Great Depression times and people lack access to um people lack access to being able to individually meet their needs. But we won't make it out of the cult of identity to this conscious community thing if we think that people can't meet their needs because their neighbor is like black or like gay. Like, like if that's what you think, like if you think that's the reason why you're broke and it's not like a little bit you and a lot bit the government that's not helping you, then we're never going to make it because we're not going to be able to humanize our peers enough to see, hey, you know what? You aren't stealing from me, but you have the opportunity when given the opportunity to meet your needs and to be accommodated, you have the chance to help me and help all these other people build something together that can help serve us all instead of us being dependent on the master of our cult giving us enough money to like hopefully, I don't know, like buy groceries that are already overpriced. And the final take from this slide is the new celebrities I'm starting to realize, the new leaders of the social culture, especially in a world that's just like so like like scary. And it's just like audiences of creators are just super abusive almost. Like a lot of people who feel like they don't want to be creators and they don't want to be influencers or celebrities because they're afraid of all the hate because they understand like they be hating on they be hating too. And just for every creator that's created, there's like a million more haters that just gets created. Just a million more people who feel like they failed even more and then just are just so much more resentful at anybody pursuing a path of success. So the only people who are going to beat that, like this new age of celebrity cults and like of cult audiences, are going to be the people who just accept themselves so much for who they are. They just keep sharing that with the world. And they just keep finding a way for the value that they're sharing to actually be of service to people who can help keep them sustained or like compensated, even if you want to call it that. But that's the new leaders are going to be the people who it's not like people who don't take no for an answer, but it's going to be the people who know themselves so much they don't fall victim to the lies that society attempts them to get them to accept that they are, or they make them think they are. And a lot of people who can't do that, who can't accept themselves in spite of whether it's social conditioning or like their peer gaslighting, a lot of people who can't do that and pursue that path of like authenticity, they're just going to end up going right back to whatever the to be validated by whatever community or whatever group is going to allow them to feel how they want to feel at the mercy of being able to ever genuinely accept themselves for who they are. So it's a lot of when the world outside of us gets scary, we got to make the world inside of us a good place. And we got to find healthy means of doing that stuff. We got to find healthy coping mechanisms. We need strong community. We need intentional habits and decisions and behaviors. But it's going to be a whole lot more than just thinking that we can take this limitless drug and then change our whole entire lives. Or we can just, oh, I cop a baddie one time and then now like she's going to change my life. Like, no, no, no. It's so much more than all of that. It's literally, you got to change your whole entire life. Okay, I know I'm a comedian. I know I'm a comedian. I know I'm a comedian. I apologize because you're not going to get anything else out of me. I took life way too serious the first 20 however many years, and I realized there's no point in doing it because regardless if I stress or not, I am still this person who could present you this information. So I might as well just be chill and happy while I do it because the world ain't gonna be any softer on me. So so let me just read this off for you guys if you can't read, because you know that's what I started this whole entire video with. It's a video series, not a book, because literacy is so horrible. You know, and actually now that I'm starting to realize how sick that whole entire like the government is just as like an entity, I don't even think I want to work in the White House. But I will do political strategy contracting if that is something that you want. I will do campaign campaign consultations, and political strategy coaching, if that's what you guys want. And that's if anybody watches this stuff too. I'm realizing like I'm just some random dude on the internet who doesn't know how to get a good thumbnail off, and this might be I might be shooting in the dark here, but I don't really care. For my people who watch all of this, bro, especially before 2025, especially before 2030, really proud of you. And I'm thankful for you guys. And I'm glad that you guys actually took the time out of your day to really watch this and participate in this series because this is everything. But this is one thing I'm going to highlight here. This right here. Like that right there. You are not going to be able to hire me unless you allow me to be able to chief on the finest of this. Because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I can't tell if y'all know what you're doing because you lost. Remember that. You lost. I didn't. All right, all right. Some more arrogance to end this little video lecture with is going to be actionable steps for personal growth. Because if society is going to collapse, you're still going to be a human being. We're just going to wait for a new society for you to subscribe yourself to. While that's happening, one, you can do the obvious, which is spare some change for a starving artist. You can check out links wherever the fuck they are, or, you know, Cosmic Nomads, Rebel Souls, or, you know, I don't know, whatever the links are. And help me be able to make sure that I can still survive capitalism enough to give you guys this amazing content. But beyond all that, take responsibility for your own life. Figure out what your life is. Is it you? Is it you and your dog? Is it you and your family? Is it you and your children? Is it you and your wife and your relationship? What is your life? Take responsibility for it. And it's not only important to say that freedom is never given, it's taken. You have to realize this. Freedom isn't free. Freedom comes with sacrifice. Freedom comes with commitment. And really, freedom comes on the back end of discipline and consistency. The only way to access freedom at all in this life is to be disciplined enough to free yourself from the chains that are holding you back. Take that initiative and build your legacy, whether that's just the little life that you live in your little small one-bedroom apartment, or if it's you and your mansion all over the world, build your legacy. But you have to dream. You have to look within yourself to see those dreams that you have, those dreams that have been haunting you because you've been escaping yourself for so long, neglecting them like some collect calls. And then allow that legacy, whether it's through your career, it's through your lifestyle, it's through your purpose, it's through your existence, allow that to give value back to the community around you and the world that you live in. Allow that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for watching this whole entire thing. Like, I don't even understand how to sit down and just like now, because I'm a psychopath, we're going to be on to the next thing, but this is done and nobody really believed in this. Like, this is something I had to just realize, like I was going to keep on complaining that people didn't believe in me, or I was just going to believe in myself and do it. And now we're on the other end of that, and I couldn't be more thankful. Now this is concluded, I'm pretty sure. Let's stop sharing the screen here. And let's get back to our just you and me. Take this how you would like to, but understand the truth is in your hands now. You decide what you're going to do with it. I can't do a single thing other than hope that you put your best foot forward, you do what you know is right, and you give to your world everything that you can because this is all you have. Because if I'm being honest, in the end, it doesn't even matter.